Welcome back for another episode. We've got quite a bit that I want to talk about today, and you saw the title of the show. It's basically Ask the Medium. So, first of all, Merry Christmas to everybody that's celebrating the holiday this week in a couple of days here. It's been a rough year, and hopefully everybody has just a lovely Merry Christmas, and hopefully social distance and with all the CDC guidelines of what we're supposed to be doing, small groups. And so we can all hopefully get to a beautiful, lovely, beautiful, Merry Christmas next year with all of our family and friends once we get this behind us. So safe holidays to everybody during this season. It has been just such a long year, and we do, live stream on 4 different channels. So I don't get to see all the questions all the time. So what I decided to do for this show today, what I thought would be fun would be to actually talk about some of the questions that I've received, but haven't really had a chance to answer because they are being broadcast on different channels. I don't get to see them, and I get to see them after the fact all the time. So I thought today would be kind of fun to go ahead and answer some of those questions that people asked over the course of the last several weeks and see if I can provide some answers out there. I have no idea. I've got several questions that I just kind of threw together at the last minute here from a variety from all the sites. So I haven't really looked at them. So it's going to be kind of an on the spot kind of response. So hopefully this will be fun for everybody, including myself, although I feel a little under pressure to respond to them. But I do want to talk about one before I get started. I do have a strange one going into the holidays. So in the next couple of days, right before Christmas, probably Christmas Eve. We're still kind of determining a time. I want to talk about a little bit about one client that I had and the progression here of something that's happened at that home. And I had a client about 2.5 years ago now, and a woman called me up and wanted a reading. And she also wanted her house blessed at the same time, which is what I typically do when I go to see people here. I try and do one-stop shopping when I do it. And one of the things that I wound up doing during that reading was I think I've explained my process a variety of times, but usually I walk into someone's house and I will greet them, but I really want to see what energy I get clean when I first walk into a house. I want to see what I feel and that sort of thing, because then it sets the tone for what I may get during that session or what's going to be important during that time that I'm there. So I did go through there and I walked into one room and it was the strangest feeling I've ever had. Again, I am very good about sensing different energies and that sort of thing when I walk into a home. For example, as I've mentioned before, I can sense alcoholism or addiction of some sort, or drugs or guns, or Ouija boards, or all kinds of, cancer, any types of things. Those are the things that I just come when I walk into a house and when I meet somebody for the first time. And walking to this house was the strangest sensation because it was very, very strange. And I don't want to give away, again, too much information, but there is quite a bit that I can provide. And one of them was that when I walked into this room, beautifully appointed room, had a bed. It was made up very nicely. It was very pretty. And it had a black tile, full black tile, 1 foot by 1 foot black tiles throughout the room. It was very nicely appointed. But the feeling in there was strange. And I walked into the center of the room, and I've never done this before, where I just kind of put my hand over right in front of where I was. And I said, the woman was following me through the house. And I said, there's a pentagram here. Somebody was doing something and in a satanic ritual setting here, because I can feel the energy. I'm like, it's not only here, but it also exists on this wall directly in front of me. And she said, it's true. There was something there. And I said, it's still there. I feel the energy. There's still something in this room. And not only this, but I feel animals in this room. I feel sacrifices in this room. I feel rituals in this room. I feel all kinds of really strange energy here. She said that she knew of, again, I won't go into super detail here, but she knew that there was a pentagram underneath the tile where I was standing. She said that it wasn't removed before they put the tile down. I said, it really probably should have been removed. There's not a whole lot I can do at this point, but I will bless the room. I will go through and do what I do, but I can't get rid of all this energy that's here. So did what I could do, and then fast forward. And about a year and a half went by, maybe almost 2 years, and I got a phone call from another family member of this woman, and she had passed. And it was right after she had passed and wanted a reading. So I came over, did a reading, didn't go into that room at all. The house was a bit in a disarray because of all of the stuff from the funeral that was in the home and that sort of thing. And there was a lot of sorrow, a lot of sadness. And the purpose of my meeting at that point was more to connect with the mother than it was to do anything about the house. Fast forward to a week ago when I went back to the same home, because I was called and they wanted a reading. People in this family wanted a reading. So I went back to do a reading. And when I got there this time, that energy back in that room was, again, challenging to say the least. And they mentioned to me that they were going to remove that tile there and expose that pentagram for me. So now I can go work with that energy. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing this week, is going and removing that type of energy. I called up a wicked friend of mine and asked his opinion. I asked a couple of other medium friends of mine. I've dealt with this type of energy before, but it's not something I do a lot of. And from satanic ritual perspective, it's not one of my specialties. I can get rid of certain energies and work with certain energies, but it's not my favorite thing to do. But when somebody calls, that's what I need to do. And so that's going to be happening in a couple of days. So next week, I think I'll go ahead and relay everything that happened on that visit, so that you can know and understand kind of what's happening. And what I'm going to try and do as well is I'm going to film this, the ritual of cleansing this area. Hopefully it will be a benefit, as long as the homeowner will allow me to do that. I do want to take the time to explain what to do, because a lot of people, you buy homes and you may discover things that had happened in basements or in rooms or someplace or in an attic, and that you may discover that people who had lived there previously had these types of rituals and ceremonies, and what to do if you encounter this in the place that you live or work, or on your property, because I've seen it on the land as well. So these are things that I want to try to explain. So hopefully I'll get a chance and an opportunity, and will remember to film this, so that you'll have an idea of what to do and how to work with this type of energy in the future. So it is the holiday, so it's White Wine Day today. So I got my festive shirt on here to today's show. Sit back. I just actually, when I was getting these off of the different sites, I actually just stuck them on my phone. So I'm going to need to kind of just copy and paste them into notes. So we're going to get started here. So I've got to read these off the phone. So the first question that I've copied here is, what's the most difficult thing about being a medium that you have to go through? So, interesting question. I've answered this in a variety of ways on a variety of shows. But it's very pointed here, and I'm going to give it my answer, I think, in a couple of ways. I think there's the aspect of being a medium that is challenging from a public perspective. I never had to deal with that personally until I started doing this full time. When I worked in corporate America, I made sure that I was very quiet about what I did, that I didn't tell people, because I had a lot of people that reported up to me through the hierarchy and the structure in the company. And I didn't want to have people say, hey, I report up to the guy who sees dead people or talks to dead people. So I kept it very quiet as far as what I did. But occasionally I would find people who needed my assistance, or get things about people on that reported up to me or that I worked with, get personal information about them, and would have these little kind of one-of sessions with people so that they kind of knew what I did and how I did it. And it was never really talked about it. One of the things that I always made sure people did was to understand that I don't want this talked about, but I'm happy to help you. And everybody was very respectful. However, after several years, it finally did get out and about a little bit. Kind of, the whispers and the murmurs got out about me, what I did, and that sort of thing. So I felt bad that I wasn't out as a medium per se, but I understand in corporate America that it's not something that would have gone over very well with my management structure. So I kept it quiet, didn't talk about it. So but also publicly when I have friends that we would go to a dinner party or something, and people find, one of the first questions that people ask, particularly if you're new to a dinner party, is what do you do? And I've always been very honest about what I do, and I would talk about my professional life when I worked in corporate America per se. But now this is what I do full time, and has been for years. So I talk openly about what I do, but it is challenging. There are many people who, kind of look at you a little strangely, like can be crazy, that you see and hear and talk to spirit. But by and large, I haven't had that much of a problem. It's more of a problem when I went to incorporate my business as Spirit Focus LLC. Talking to the lawyer, talking to the accountants, talking to other people in a professional sense, wondering what I did and how I did it. Some people have been very open to it. Other people just kind of give you that, that's interesting. But by and large, I love what I do. I'm happy to do what I do, and all the clients that I've worked with, I get a great sense of satisfaction when their life becomes better. I really get a really good karmic sense of satisfaction by helping people. That's the calling. That's what I want to do, and make people comfortable in their own home and get them on the path that they should be on that may have gotten off of. So from a public sense, I think that's probably the most challenging thing that I work with. But I think there's a whole other aspect to it too, which is that private side of being a medium, and that's incredibly challenging. There are mediums that I know that do certain things. There's a famous medium who had a show. She'd put on a hat at night, or when she didn't want to be bothered by spirit. That was her sign to spirit that she didn't want to be bothered. Other people will turn it off at night. And even my husband wants me to turn it off because I am bothered constantly. I mean, last night, literally, I had 5 spirits in this house that wanted to communicate with me. And one is incredibly challenging at the moment. So I just had a reading where I think I mentioned in last week's show that I had a gentleman come through whose nickname was Gato, and I have subsequently found out that he too has passed, but he is incessant about me getting information to his son, who is apparently some type of danger. And I need to reach this guy, and I'm trying to find out who he is, how to connect with him, and that sort of thing. I have people out there looking and calling and making sure that they can try and find this gentleman so I can have this conversation. But that has not happened yet. It continues on from the meeting last week. But all in all, the reading itself was fantastic. It's just this one piece that he wants to try and communicate with his son, and he is here. And he's kind of wanting me to do this, and he's contacting me over and over and over again. He's incessant. It's annoying. But I understand, in particular, if it's something that's dangerous that the son is involved in, or a potential situation that is there's a possible change of scenario in some way. I don't know what that is yet until I talk to the son. But when that happens, then pieces of the puzzle will come together for me. But right now, he just is, incessant that I continue to reach out, try to find his son, try and find his son, try and find his son. So he is pseudo omnipresent in this house, where I'll turn a corner and run into this guy. And he's in a white guayabera. If you are familiar with, if you've ever been to Panama or other places in Latin America or Central America, the kind of a collared shirt, white shirt usually, that's buttoned down and hangs outside the pants, short sleeve. Sometimes it has some design, up in this area. And it's called a guayabera. And this is what he is running around this house in. And he shows me himself in this way, and we'll see what he wants. But So that's the challenging part, is the personal. When I was younger, being terrified of spirit and petrified of the encounters I would have, because I wasn't able to, didn't feel strong enough to ward off the negative energy or the negative spirits that I would encounter. Now it doesn't bother me. Now I feel I can deal with anything. I feel I'm protected all the time in what I do. So it doesn't bother me. Now I just go out and ask, what do you want? How can I help? Where before I would maybe not go into that room, because I would feel that I'm going to encounter the spirit of this entity, and it's not something I would want to encounter. It happened at hotels and restaurants and different people's homes, and no matter where I have been, it's always been an issue. Even now, I'll go to lock up the house at night, and spirit may stick a head through the door and say hello, or be in the hallway, or I turn the corner to go into my bedroom, and there's a spirit there. So brushing my teeth, taking a shower, no matter where. I mean, I'll go into a supermarket, that I may see somebody down at the end of a hallway, one of the aisles there, that I can see is not on this plane, or I mean, obviously is, but they can see me, I can see them, and they know that I can, and they're trying to communicate with me. And sometimes they wind up just in my car with me. I told the story of the little old lady who would be in my back seat. When I get in, I'd see her in my rearview mirror when I would go to drive. There, 3 times, and the third time was a charm. She got her message across, and I got the message to her grandson, and she never popped back into my car again. So I never know where it's going to happen. So I think it's not terrifying anymore from that perspective, where I would just see spirit. It is, however, when I see negative, or kind of really, I hate to say the word demonic, but like that type of energy. When I see that type of thing, or I'm alone and I'm near a Confederate cemetery, or a Union cemetery or something, and I see soldiers walking with me, trying to communicate with me, and I'm by myself and there's nobody around, that sometimes will make me nervous still, because I don't know how strong their energy is. Obviously, for them to appear the way that they're appearing to me, they've got some energy behind them, and it can be disconcerting. It can be challenging. So I don't like to be out in the wilderness by myself a lot. I find it's a balance. It's trying to strike that balance of, do I feel safe? Do I feel a location where I can be grounded, and kind of recharge my energy? But at the same time, I will encounter things in a forest. There may have been a battle or a skirmish, or somebody who's lost in the woods, or people, or these souls that feel my energy and want to communicate with me. And that can be a little disconcerting, because you're so alone and you feel vulnerable. I know that they can't hurt me per se, because I am so well protected in what I do and how I pray and how I protect myself. But at the same time, if you are walking in a war zone with a suit of armor on, you'd still feel vulnerable. You're exposed. There's, even though you are protected in some way, it's not a comfortable feeling. And so this is where as the older I get, the more I feel at peace with it. And this is probably the most peace I've had with the gift in years. But because of how protected I am, and the people that have been along the way that have been wonderful souls and have taught me how to work with spirit better, different mediums, different souls, different spirit, my guides, all this interaction that I have on a continual basis and when I opened up and finally accepted my gift for what it is, did I finally become much more comfortable with it. So now Mark will see me here, and I say, I see this over there. There's a spirit that wants to communicate, and he just gives me carte blanche. He doesn't even notice it anymore. When we first got together, and we didn't talk about it, he was a little bit more fearful of what it is, but he has seen, even though he's recorded spirits in this house. So even though he hasn't seen them personally, when he's videotaping and he plays back, he can see exactly sometimes what I'm describing and knows what now is there. But he still does not seem to be, at least doesn't tell me, that he is at all bothered by what's occurring in the house or wherever we go. I mean, because again, this has happened when we've gone on vacation. It's happened in other places. So the question was, how what are the challenges of being a medium in this way? And so there's a public aspect of it, there's a private aspect of it, and I think those are I think there are the two biggest challenges that I face or have faced with dealing with spirit. So let's get to another question. The next one was, how does Mark like living with a medium? Do you see things for him? So I think Mark, I think is somewhat fascinated. Okay, so those of you who are watching this for the first time, my husband's name is Mark, and we've been together for 16 years. But living with Mark, I've told him things, and he's seen things and videotaped things, as I just said in the last question, where he believes, obviously, what is there because he too has experienced some of these things with me, or has been with me when I've been with clients and sees the reaction from clients. And we've had clients here at the house, and just the reaction and the testimonials from clients that I have that are just phenomenal. It's so sweet for them to write these things when the information that has been provided has changed their life in some way. But this transformational type information that gets passed back and forth. Again, I'm just a conduit for a very good interpreter and reader of information that's coming from people that I see, sense, and feel. These souls that are just not on this plane, or are stuck on this plane, one of the two usually. And so I think for him, I think he was a little fearful at first when like we were at a vacation in a cabin that we'd rented up in the North Georgia mountains. And the first night we were there, again, I knew that there was a ghost in this house of an older man. And we both woke up at the same time. You could hear the footsteps walking up to the loft of this log cabin. And there must have been 20 stairs. And slowly, that tum, 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 up the stairs, and just sitting there with anticipation. What are you going to see when this reaches the top stair? And so he's sensed it, he's heard things, he's seen things. And I think now he has kind of a better understanding of what it is. I don't think if it does scare him, he doesn't let me know that it scares him. I think some of the things that I say surprise him when there's very, very accurate information from spirit, like Gato out of the blue, that was somebody's best friend that passed 38 years ago, that there's no way I would know, or kind of like a just really proper names, like the dog's name being Snickers or something, that comes out in a reading. I think that surprises him. So I think it's more surprise and awe a little bit at that spirit exists, and that this is the type of information, because he doesn't see, sense, or feel anything. Mark's a bit intuitive with people and motivations of people and stuff, but it's not on a spiritual level. So I think that's where he would come in. And as far as reading for him, very rarely. People that I'm close to, it's more challenging to read, because you kind of like sometimes your personal feelings get involved in that reading. So I have read for people, Rosa Spiro, Mark, my dad, my brothers and sisters, and stuff. I've read for all of them, and got had some very good readings. Usually it's when there's danger or trouble or something that has to be said. So it's not like I get information from Mark on a daily basis, but when we were thinking about moving his mom from her residence into more of an assisted living community, there were messages from his dad and from her brother that came through, and when I was doing my prayers one night, and all very germane to the topic of hand of the move and what we had to do and how it was going to make her comfortable and how to do this. So all of these things were very germane and pertinent for that particular event. And once the event was over, that stopped. So I do like reading for people that I'm close to. It's more challenging. Mark in particular is challenging because even though I am a medium and I do get information from spirit, I still have to live my life and have to learn the lessons that I have to learn on this plane. So if if I knew everything that was going to happen or supposed to happen, I wouldn't live that lesson. And for it really kind of to be imprinted on the soul, you need to go through it. And so they won't tell me things that are very pertinent, germane, or unless it has to be with something that's very serious. Now, with Mark's health or something of this nature, there's something there, that kind of information they'll give me, so I can make sure that I keep him on track and that he's able to have time to work with whatever that challenge may be from a medical perspective or anything else that would affect him in a great way. So I do get information that way. It's more challenging, and I have to make sure that I'm not interpreting that information for people that I'm close to in a way that may not be accurate because it has my hopes, wants, desires for that individual in a happy way, and I may not read all of the signs or tell somebody the way that I'm actually feeling them. So I have to be careful of that. I have to be cognizant of that. It doesn't happen that often with those that I'm very, very close to, unless I specifically sit down and force myself to do a reading and get the information. So that's how it works with Mark. And other people that I'm close to. But that kind of answers that question, I think. There's more right back. So let's see. What's the next question? What is it like when you get animals talking to you? You mentioned that one time. Animals talking, let me suffer a little more. Excuse me. Animals talking is interesting. I don't know how to explain it really. Since our dog passed, it's easier for me because I will go to her in spirit, and she's very, 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 very good about being very, very specific about issues that are happening with animals. So one of my big fortes in working with animals, I love to do animal Reiki. I love to do work with animals because they don't have a voice. And this is one way that I get to use my talent for pure good, because animals, their animal energy is just pure love. There's just it's all giving energy, it's all loving energy, and so that's just wonderful energy to work with, and it's a privilege to be able to help them if I can with an ailment. For example, I was at a client's house not too long ago, and I told the client she had 3 dogs, all huge dogs, and the dog that they were showing me in spirit was a white, kind of a white medium-sized dog, maybe 40 pounds or so, with kind of white curly hair. And since she didn't have, she had 2 labs and a shepherd, and I said, I don't know, did you have a dog that looked like this previously? Because it's very, very clear what this dog is. And I said, but this dog is in this house. I feel this dog's energy in this house. They're showing this dog in this house. And she said, yes, my best friend has a dog, and it is white, short, about that weight, and has kind of white, curly, kind of, I don't know, like a sheepdoggy kind of hair where it's, kind of messed up a little bit. It wasn't just like kind of got a flat coat on it. And I said, look, this dog, they're showing me very, very clearly that this dog is going to step on something with its right paw, and it's going to be injured. You need to make sure that you protect this dog, so don't bring it near your house. It's going to happen right in front of your house. So just keep the dog away from your house, and you're going to be fine. So don't let the dog in, or at least look around here, because I feel it's off of, with the Christmas decorations that are coming up, or with how the house is decorated, that there is something that's going to happen to this dog's right front paw, and it's very, very clear that this is going to happen. So she said, great, I'll call my friend. And she did. Actually, she called her friend that night and let her know what I said. Well, the housekeeper the next morning got there and decided to take the dog for a walk. And the owner of the house had not had a chance yet to talk to the housekeeper. And on this walk, walked the dog right in front of the house. And the dog did wind up stepping on something and really kind of severely injuring the paw, the right front paw. And the woman, that her friend, called her that day and said, and she sent her a picture of the dog with one of those cones around its head so it wouldn't chew on it, and said, Robert was absolutely right. This is what happened. It stepped on something, and we took it to the vet, and it now had they took care of the injury, and but the dog's going to have to wear a cone for a week so it doesn't start to lick at the wound and that sort of thing. So it's sometimes very, very specific. One time I was at another house and I said, but you have an escape artist as a dog. It was one of those tiny ones, like, maybe like 8-10 pound dog. I said, this is an escape artist. What's going to happen one day, you have to be very, very careful. And you're going to open the garage door, the door from the kitchen into the garage, and you're going to go out, and the door is going to come down and it's going to hurt this dog. It's going to come down on the back of this dog, and it's going to severely injure your animal. And she said, that happened today. We went outside and we didn't realize the dog got out behind us. And actually, we were closing the garage door and it moved out. I said, perfect. I mean, both of these things should be an indication to you, but, just got to watch this dog. And so now they put up a doggy gate so the dog can't move from that room out into the garage to have this happen. So it's little things like that. I've had clients that bring me over to their home to when they're about to put down their animal because of illness or because of old age or whatever the reason is. And I've worked with the animal at that point, and it's such a privilege. I can't even describe what it's like to be able to go. And the one dog that they were going to put down the next day, I was talking to which I'll get into how this happens, but I just kind of put my hand over the dog's head, and the dog let me know that it had a green toy. And it looked like a Gumby to me. And I said, where's it? This dog, do you have a toy that looks like a Gumby? He said that it was the dog's favorite toy, was this Gumby. And I said, where's the Gumby? He said, well, we're putting her down tomorrow. I didn't want to, have to deal with all that tomorrow. It would make me very sad and stuff. I said, you got to get the Gumby. The dog wants the Gumby. So he went and dug the Gumby back out of where he had stashed all this stuff and gave the dog the Gumby, and the dog just kind of wrapped itself around the Gumby. And that's what was comforting to it. It knew it was going to be transition to spirit the following day. But it just wanted that comfort, and it was fine. There's just so many things that, that come with animals, from, at the same house where I said the woman with the white dog that was going to be injured was one of the dogs there. It was like, this dog has bladder issues. It's going to have all kinds of issues. And it had started that week with them and told them the progression of what's going to happen with that animal and how long. Now, again, don't read death, but told them basically what's going to happen and their indication of when the end is close for them. Because there was going to be a certain behavior that was going to be exhibited by this animal to let them know that it was time. So there are all kinds of things that, and I've worked with birds and cats and dogs, and cats are challenging. They're a little standoffish sometimes. Dogs are very easy to work with. I work with horses, a goat. I'm trying to think of all the animals I've worked with. Birds are interesting to work with. But all of these, how I'm able to communicate with them is interesting, because it's not like they speak English to me. It's not like I'm Dr. Doolittle here and that's how it works. But they give me indications and feelings and show me things, kind of like the Gumby, right? They show me a Gumby, and I know what that is. But they also sometimes want to talk to convey information to the owner. For example, I was in one house and I said, the dog's telling me that you refuse to sleep with your door open, that you're scared. So you sleep with your bedroom door locked and closed every night. And it said, when this dog passes, the dog said that it will be there and you can sleep with the door open. It will be there. If you ever have an issue with an intruder or something into your house, this dog will wake you up. Even from spirit, it will wake you up in your dream state or whatever, that you will wake up. You're protected. Don't worry so much about life. But this is the dog letting me know something that's going on with the human, that it's human companion. So the information is it's hard for me to describe because it just is what it is. It's just where it's almost a clairsentience, where I just know. I just know what the dog wants. I just am told from my dog, who's now in spirit, what has to happen, what issues are happening with the dog, what's happening with the animal, and it just sort of it comes together. It's so hard to explain that aspect of what I do, because it seems, I don't know, strange or counterintuitive that you can communicate with an animal in that way. It just is what it is. And I don't try and question it. It's even just hard to describe. So I apologize. I'll try and maybe find words. I'm going to write a book here, and maybe I'll try and find words to put to how that works better. Maybe I can talk to some maybe animal behavioral specialists or something that can give me insight onto why I get what I get that way. I just don't question what I get. I just get it, and then I relay the information. So I guess I don't think about what I do a whole lot. I just do what I do, and it's just like on autopilot. So I'm sorry if that's not clear, but I hope that answers your question in some capacity. Yeah, get back to more. Let's see, more drinks. Next question. Can you stop getting information? Yes. um, I guess it's a qualified yes. Can I stop? Yes, there are ways. When I drink alcohol, it knocks out my radar. If I were to take any drugs like a Xanax, or it doesn't happen when I take like Tylenol or something, but if I take something that alters my understanding, like a Xanax, I was on a Xanax for an injury. There's another class of medication above that I was on for, it was kind of like a muscle relaxer. Anything that I do, I've never done drugs, so it's hard for me to tell. But the drugs that I've had that have been prescribed to me have knocked out my radar, and like NyQuil or something too will just knock it out. And so I don't receive. So if I really, really, really want a good night's sleep, I can have a couple glasses of wine, knock out the radar. There are friends of mine who are mediums who actually, they say that it enhances their gift. But for me, it just knocks out my radar, and I just don't receive things at that point that I'm aware of. I don't think that I do. It just depends on, I guess, on how much I would imbibe, or how much of the prescribed medication I would take. But I've never. So that's one way for me to stop receiving information. I can go down that road. If I want to, need to, and stop it from happening. I choose not to. I drink very rarely. And if I do, it's very social, maybe at a night out with friends or something. But with COVID, I don't drink that much, except on the show. I I do it quite a bit. But so that's one way that I knock out my radar. I'm trying. I choose. It drives Mark, a little bit crazy sometimes, because he knows that other mediums turn it off. I prefer to leave it on, because even though it keeps me up at night sometimes and stuff, because when I'm going to go see a client, usually the night before I go, and I've talked about this before on other shows, where the night before I go, I usually get a lot of information, or I'll get somebody that comes through or introduces themselves, so that I know who I'm talking to, what I need to do. Particularly if it's a haunting or something, I get information from the other side of what the person looks like, where I'm going to encounter this person. So I'm not afraid of what I'm going to encounter and what I need to do. So that's where I'll just go ahead, and I just don't try to shut it off. If I'm on a plane, for example, it's horrible, because as a medium, I'm also empathic. So all that fear that people get, I'll feel, if there's a 300 people on the plane and there may be 150 people who are terrified of flying, I will feel all of that fear. And I try to turn that off. Sometimes that requires a little bit of a Xanax to turn their fear off. Otherwise, I'm fearful because I get that energy and I don't know what to do with it. So is it possible to turn off? Yes. Do I do it often? Not really. It's one of those things that I like to be and remain connected because it kind of, I don't like to lose information. And like I said, we have five souls in this house last night. They're coming to me for a reason. And I ignored my gift for a very long time. And, longtime viewers of the show will know that I turned off my gift, or tried to turn off my gift, between the ages of maybe 20 and 35 or so. And even though it's still see, sense, and feel, I ignored or so. And so I guess the question is, can I turn it off? Yeah, that takes a little help from an outside source, but otherwise I just kind of tend to ignore. If I'm not in the mood or not ready, or I'm too tired to deal with it, I will ignore, tell them to come to me on my dream state, and just find maybe another way to work with spirit. So that's the answer to that question. Can you help me be a medium or a psychic? Yes and no. The being a psychic, I do believe we all have a little psychic ability. It's training. I have trained people on how to be psychics if they have an inclination to do that. So I will do teaching, and I do teach classes on how to enhance that gift that I feel that we all have. Now, again, it's all a matter of degrees and levels and the things that you do, but it does take commitment. It does take an avenue of making sure that you're centered, that you're protected, that you do all of these things that I tell you to do. And if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to be serious about it, then it's not worth my time, effort, or energy to do, quite frankly. I take what I do very seriously, and I take people who want to tap in and develop their abilities very seriously as well. And so from a psychic perspective, that's one way that I can teach people to do things. The other side is, if you don't see or communicate with spirit, then you're not a medium. That's just what the definition of a medium is: communicating with, people would say dead people, but they're just, again, that transitioned soul, and working with them, and how do you do that, and what do you need to do. So that's one of those things that I can, if you are a medium, I can teach you how to be a better medium, how to enhance that gift, but I can't make you a medium unless you actually are one. Now, in my experience and in my knowledge, and I've been doing this for a long time, you're either born with a gift, or something usually traumatically happens, either a near-death experience or a car accident, or something that alters your life in a profound way, that brings out the gift in you that you've had all along. But very rarely, I can't think of one instance where I've just met somebody and they said, well, I wasn't born with it, but I just became a medium. I've never had that occurrence at all. So it is possible that you could be a medium and not realize it. And there have been times where I've gone to clients' homes and I've informed them that they are a medium, or they're empathic, or that they do have certain gifts that they're unaware of, and then that I want them to develop these if they so choose. This is how to do that. But by and large, yes, you can be trained to be better at anything in life, and mediumship is a skill. You have a gift. But again, you could be you could go out there and be an amazing basketball player on your own court, but you still need to learn how to develop teamwork skills and learn certain plays to make sure that you're as productive as possible if you were to join a professional team, or an after work league or something. You have a gift that God gives you, but it's your responsibility to develop that gift. And you can choose not to. But I've always found in life, with everyone that I've ever worked with that has tried to develop their gift and enhance their gift, that it has been a positive experience for them. Now, I say a positive experience. At the end of the experience, it's more positive, but sometimes people are afraid of what they encounter along the way. Because once people start to open up, and people who are fearful of spirit or working with it or seeing things or doing things with spirit, once they start to open up more and it becomes more prevalent and more profound in their life, um, sometimes that scares them and they want to backtrack at that point. But that's the exact moment that you want to move forward with it, because you are learning and you're growing, and that's what you should be wanting to do. Is with, I don't care what you're doing in life, you want to continue to grow and evolve and attain more information. So if that's something that you'd like to do, contact me. Happy to help you in that regard as well. Okay. I'm trying to answer as many questions here as I can. We may have to do this next week as well, because I have a lot left here. The next question: have you ever been afraid of the spirits you see? Yes, more so when I was a kid. Now it doesn't really bother me, but there are some scary things that I encounter. Sometimes, spirit is very good when I'm going uh, to a house for haunting and things. Usually, again, like I said earlier, they will show me in my dream state what I'm going to encounter, usually before I get there, so I know when and where and how I'm going to encounter this entity. And if when I go to a home, I like, even when I'm going to go do the pentagram this week, I don't worry about what I need to do. I bring everything, and then I'm told what I need to do to be successful. It's not me. I kind of become somebody else because I'm just an instrument at that point of what of what they want me to do. I'm told specifically what to do, how to do it, how long to do it, and I think that's what makes me successful at doing what I do, because I do listen very ardently to what they're telling me. I don't put in my 2 cents. I don't try to interpret. I just do what they want me to do. Um, so I don't know what the question was again. Oh, frightening. But yeah, I've had things that I wasn't prepared for, that have, um, most of them demonic, that I wasn't ready for. And as I have grown in my skill set, it's still not my favorite thing to work with. I don't like to and will not work with people who um, are possessed in some way by some type of negative energy or spirit. That I won't do. A house, a space, land, all of that, absolutely, definitely will work on. It's challenging. Sometimes I have gone and sought outside help from friends of mine who I feel may be necessary, whether they be santeros or Wicca basis or Catholic priests, whatever I feel I need. And other mediums that I've worked with, Terry Angel or Spirit and other people who other have another understanding and their own, and when you get that energy together, it enhances both your gifts. So that's also a very positive thing to do, and why I like working with other mediums for that reason. It's a very positive experience for everybody. But the frightening part comes when it's something that's a surprise that I wasn't prepared for. And sometimes I'll turn a corner and I'll walk through a ghost or something, and it's disconcerting because I see them like, I see normal people on this plane, and I think I'm going to run into somebody. So you try and pull back before you run in it, and then you go through and you realize it's a spirit. So sometimes, most of the time, let's say 95% of the time, things don't scare me. But when I go to a hotel sometimes, or an old castle or something, when I'm traveling in Europe or something, and I go into a location that has a lot of energy to it, trying to sort through that energy sometimes can be challenging. Um, so uh, fear, fear is not a good emotion to have when you're working with spirit. So I try to hold that in as much as I possibly can, and just roll with it. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've seen a lot of things over 50 plus years of encountering spirit. So I think it's just the things that are more surprising to me. And the interesting thing about my job is that every time I go to see a new client, it's a different scenario. It's not the same thing all the time. It's always a different spirit with a different personality and a different way to work with them. So it makes the job itself interesting and fun for me. So we're running short on time. I'll try and get one more question in here. Where are we at here? What does it look like when you say you see things? Okay. I think I may have explained this in another show a long time ago, but I'll try and be brief. I see things, I see spirit like I see people most of the time. So I see full apparition. Most people can't see what I'm seeing, but I can see them. So there's a variety of ways that I see. I see them full body. I will see them as light. I will see them as energy. I will see them as sometimes kind of just wavy energy that I know that they're there. Other ways that I see them are in my dream state, where I will encounter them in my dream state. So I'm not in my body, they're outside of wherever they're coming from. To encounter me in that particular space, I've always told everybody I have over the shoulder, I have kind of like a little TV set here where I kind of, I can just look forward, but I'm still seeing spirit in this location. And then there's just clairsentience where I just know things, or clairaudience where I'm just hearing, they're just telling me things. I don't see them, but they're telling me things. So it's hard to describe how I get things because I never know. Sometimes they pop in a visual for me of what they want me to see, like, an aspirin bottle or a cup of coffee or something, or, a car wreck or horse racing or something that is pertinent to the client that I'm working with. So they give me that image and I'll talk about that image. Well, this is what they're showing me now, or this is the name that they're giving me now. So I never know, but there's so many ways that I get information. And sometimes it's a lot of times when I encounter spirit, it's an info dump as well, where it's not just, hi, my name is, Lily. It's my name is Lily, and this is how old I was when I died, and this is how I died, and this was my husband's name, and I had this kind of a dog, and I lived in this part of the country, and all of that information will dump at one time, and that's where it's challenging. And sometimes when I'm with a client, I'll start to speak very fast like this because I'm trying to get all the information out before I forget anything, and it's challenging because they do this kind of info dump thing, and I don't want to forget anything because I think most of that is germane for the client and will be helpful to have the best rating possible. So I do try and remember everything that they're going through. So anyway, that's I'm going to leave it there with questions for today. That was a lot of fun. I think it's fun just to kind of get them and shoot off the cuff with answers. So I hope that you found any of those enjoyable. If you have any questions, again, throw them out there. We'll do the show again, probably next week, because there's still a ton of questions I haven't answered as yet. But I do want to thank you all for this year. We started this show very early on, like in March of this year when COVID hit. It's just basically kind of something to do. Because I couldn't go see clients at the time. Everyone was afraid. I didn't want to go anyplace. And this gave me an outlet. And it's been really godsend. So for myself personally, to be able to connect in this way with people and to answer questions and respond, to provide information. And I want to, there's so many people, Deb and, Ruth and Terry and so many other people on this network who have given me this platform and provide me with a way to connect with more people and explain what I do, how I do, and help people. It's just kind of another avenue to help. And at the end of the day, as a light worker, that's what I'm here to do. So if you want to contact me, please feel free to reach me at Robert Painley at spirit-focus.com. Or you can reach me through my website, www.spirit-focus.com. You can, call me, email me, go through my website. You can just reach me at Spirit Focus, pull up Robert Painley Medium. I come up everywhere. So there's ways to contact me. Please feel free to do so. I'm here to help in any way that I possibly can. So thank you all for watching. Thank you to the Enlightened World Network, Enlightened Living, for allowing me to do this and continue to do this every week. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate your confidence and your faith in me to provide this information to so many people out there who are looking for this but don't have a resource perhaps to do that. And I want to wish you all a very happy holiday season, for a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, uh, solstice, you name it, whatever your belief system and structure, to celebrate the holiday, to celebrate renewal, to celebrate the birth of hopefully a better new year. So I wish you all a happy holiday season and a bright new year. And I send love and blessings to you all. And thank you very much for watching. Continue to support this channel. Thank you very much.